I wanted to thank folks for coming out today. My name is Aaron Minces. I'm with Earthworks. Earthworks is a national NGO that focuses on energy development issues and seeks sustainable solutions to this. I'm based in Washington, D.C., but I live in Baltimore. And so as a Marylander, I care really a great deal about what goes on in our state, like many of you do. And part of what we're doing at Earthworks is we're partnering with some of our friends at Food and Water Watch and the Chesapeake Climate Action Network and Clean Water Action, all under this network that we call Stop the Frack Attack. And we're bringing the cautionary tales of fracked communities to Maryland. We're going to go on a bit of a roadshow, I think. We're starting in Maryland. We're going to go to D.C. Tomorrow and the next day. And I believe we're going to hit other states in the coming months, perhaps California, Florida, other places where hydraulic fracturing has not yet occurred, but the specter of oil and gas development looms very large in those areas. And part of the message we would like to deliver is that from actual people who have had fracking happen to them. I have with me Craig Stevens sitting next to me. How about we start with you first, Craig? Is that okay? Okay. Craig is from Susquehanna County, Pennsylvania, and as he's a sixth-generation landowner there, and as I'm quite fond of saying, what Craig really reminds me about is how the oil and gas industry doesn't really care very much about political party. Fracking issue is rather nonpartisan. And that's because I met him when I met Craig. He was, proudly sporting his CPAC badge, and he's a proud Tea Party patriot. And so I wanted to turn it over to Craig Stevens to share with us what is it like in Susquehanna County and what has happened to him. Craig, here's your mic.
Thank you.
There's a problem moving our mic around.
We're recording. We're recording this, so we'll be able to send you a link to what happened today, and we'll have some Q&A afterwards if you're interested. Please.
Thank you, folks, for being here. Ray and I and what was your first name again? Nadine are going to educate you on a reality perspective, not on the commercials that look so great on TV, not on hearsay from people that don't like something from the start, because I've run into that too. As you were told, I live on my 182-year-old ancestral property. I'm the sixth-generation owner. My 4 children will be the seventh-generation owners. It's in Silver Lake Township, Pennsylvania, 8 miles south of the New York state line below Binghamton, way up at the top. I moved there in January of 2010. I'm a native Californian, born in 1960 in Woodland, California, Northern California. Grew up in Southern. Did not think of moving to the East Coast till my father got cancer, terminal cancer, in 2006. I moved my family back to Reston, Virginia, and ended up taking care of him until his death, and then ended up moving up to my ancestral property. Never would I have believed in my wildest dreams when I moved up there. I have my documents here. I went and checked my deed when I got there because my brother and sister and I purchased the farmhouse from the rest of the family. I thought I was going to find our names had been transferred onto the deed. What I found was a 10-year oil and gas lease by Chesapeake Energy, where they signed my 95-and-a-half-year-old grandmother, Bernice, to a 10-year oil and gas lease in a nursing home. Anybody here think that's an honorable thing to do, sign old ladies in nursing homes? Well, it would be. I'd be upset enough if it was just a 95-and-a-half-year-old, not my grandmother, and not only the life tenant of the property. She didn't own a blade of grass or any bit of the property. When I found that out, I called Chesapeake. They refused to remove it, and I found out later why, because they had already sold 1/3 interest of it to the country of Norway, Statoil, in 2008, 14 months later. That's why they wouldn't remove it. I'll tell you, I'm a Tea Party conservative, right-wing constitutional conservative. I'm not a Republican, by the way. Not interested in what they're doing, but I am a constitutional conservative, and I expected that when I found something wrong like that it would be removed. They didn't. That was my first experience. The next one was going on my own 115-acre private property and finding stakes going across it where the pipeline was going through, without any permission from any of the deeded owners to go on my property and stake it out. That was strike 2. So I don't know about you, but I got a little upset, started inquiring. First thing I did was start talking to my neighbors, and they were talking about Dimock, Pennsylvania, that's 15 miles from me, and how there was contamination down there. But my neighbors said they were all lying because they're just looking for money, suing the companies. I said, okay, I don't know how anybody in this room was raised, but I was raised to go down and check things out before I make an opinion. And when I met Ray and the other families that were 15 miles from my house, I found out they all had pre-drill testing showing that their water was just fine before drilling began in their communities. And then all of a sudden, in September 11th, 2008, things changed. 33 private water wells, Ray will tell you more about it, went bad in the same 48-hour period. And so I thought about getting the state involved and starting calling my local, county, and state and federal elected officials to get some help. Would you like to know that in the last 40-plus years I've been doing this, we've gotten this much help from any of our elected officials in the state of in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania? They're not interested because it doesn't fit their narrative. Their narrative is this is energy, we need it, it's good for the country, energy independence. Well, you're going to hear, well, I got from the representative across the hallway here, I got this frack attack case, cracking the case against hydraulic fracturing. I haven't had a chance to review it yet, but what I will tell you is they claim no proven cases of contamination. Would you like to know that the Scranton Times-Tribune in 2011, December of 2011, they filed a right-to-know request with our Department of Environmental Protection in Pennsylvania and asked for one thing, any document in their possession that had the words in it that said natural gas drilling has contaminated your private water wells. They said they didn't have time to look in their files for it. So after 5 days, it becomes a legal requirement. The Scranton Times-Tribune sued them. It took 1 year till December of 2012. The judge found in favor of the newspaper and the reporter, Laura Legier, and they released over 1,000 pages of unredacted documents showing, and I have these up here to look at. I'm just going to go, any highlighted one says, the department's investigation indicates that nearby impoundment construction activities related to gas drilling operations have impacted your water supply. We'll flip over to this one. Department investigation indicates that gas well drilling has impacted your home water supply. 161 of these. Now here's what's interesting. We asked, the reporter asked the DEP why only one of these documents said Dimock on it. They said, well, when she knows there was 19 proven cases by the state DEP of contamination in Dimock. Well, we prefer to just talk about the area, not the individual water wells contaminated. So there's the other question. We have proven cases of over 1,000 water contaminations verified by the DEP. Each one of these documents represents 12 to 24 months of investigation by the DEP. Tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars of taxpayer dollars to do it. And they were hidden. They were hidden from us, from public view. We think they were in a file drawer marked coffee filters in the DEP building, but we're not sure. So our focus is, after this, we expected our government to go, uh-oh, and look into it. No, they doubled down on denying that anything bad has happened and there's no contamination. We're all liars. So I started a touring group with Vera Scroggins, my neighbor, called Come and See It, Come and Drink It, and Come and Breathe It. And I welcome any of you in this room that have never really seen this up close. Feel free to go to an area where it's happening. And don't just take the rig tour. Meet the people that are living with water contamination and air contamination every day. The notion of energy independence, and this is America's fuel, is laughable at the very best. I will tell you why. Very easy. Just go on FERC.gov. That's the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. Google import-export terminals. There's 33 dots on that map right there. If you think any of this natural gas or fracked oil is going to stay in the United States, do a reality check, because it is not. They cannot make any money. The price has been driven down so low by this industry after contaminating all of us that now, to make money, they're going to have to extract it. And lucky you, Maryland has the closest, probably the one that they're going to try and do the soonest. Cove Point, Maryland on the Chesapeake is where they want to send. If you think I'm lying about that, I will then show you that I have a document here that Cabot Oil and Gas has signed a 20-year agreement with Japan, the country of Japan, to sell them liquefied natural gas taken from Pennsylvania to the Cove Point processing plant. Now, there's the document right here. I'd be happy to show you anybody that wants to see it. So there you go, the old bait and switch. They told all of my neighbors we were going to get rich. If you want to look this up, thousands of my neighbors in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania that were pro-drill landowners that took money and got royalty checks now are suing the companies because a lot of them are getting zero balance checks or negative balance checks. They're getting actual invoices from the companies. There is no more money coming after only 3 to 5 years. Let me ask something, and if there's any elected officials or representative elected officials in this room, and the media, it would be a good question to ask. They promised us 30 to 50 years of fuel to come out that we were going to get paid on. Anybody here willing to risk their children or their grandchildren's future and their lives for 3 to 5 years of energy coming out of a hole near us, near their home? I'm not interested in doing that. There's the Wall Street Journal from January 2nd. All foreign investment has dried up. Wait a minute. Why would there need to be foreign investment? Well, here's a document called Foreign Flurry. India, Japan, Russia, Norway, China have invested tens of billions of dollars in this process, and the American companies doing it in the last 5 years. But the Wall Street Journal article says no more. 2014, they're not going to put a dime into this extraction technology until they can show a profit. Does anybody in this room know that the industry has not made a dime? Every time they put a hole in the ground to frack, they are losing money. That doesn't sound like an energy future. That sounds like a destructive nightmare for our country and all over the world to do what? To boost up their shareholders thinking something was coming. My focus, and the reason I'm here and speaking all over the country, we're just in California, I will be in Florida in 2 weeks, is to talk about renewable energy myself, because the path of drilling holes in the ground for energy is grandma and grandpa's technology. I don't really see it as the future for our children and our grandchildren. The war on coal is kind of interesting. There's 600 coal mines in the United States in 12 different states. I'm not as afraid of a coal mine as I am of the thousands of holes they're poking in my neighborhood near me. Because no matter where you think you're going to run on this planet, they're going to find some energy underneath it. They're going to try to get down to it. And they're going to use chemicals that'll get into your water and things into your air that'll bother you. Our focus, mine is, to educate people from a perspective of somebody that was a drill baby, drill Tea Party conservative when I moved to Pennsylvania 4+ years ago. And now I've been educated by reality. And if you want to come, you'll be in good company. We've had everyone from right-wing Tea Party conservative Greg Ball, senator from New York, come, said he was drill baby, drill Tea Party conservative, and if we don't show him something really scary standing in the front yard of a neighbor in Dimock's house, he was going to go back and say, let's get this started. 2 hours later, he was shocked at what he saw. We've had Bobby Kennedy, Arun Gandhi, Gandhi's grandson come. We've had Sean Lennon and Yoko Ono over our house. Are these right-wing Tea Party conservatives? No, they're not. But they're smart enough to know that they will team up with anybody that's educating people on this so we can get the reality of the situation. I'm just tired of getting lied to by my own elected officials, lied to by the industry that's in the area. Just remember, these are invited guests. We invited them to come there. And guests, when they come to your home, are not allowed to tell you what color to paint the house or to rearrange your furniture. And that's what they like to do. I'm going to end with a couple of quotes and pass it over to Ray. Number one is, Arun Gandhi's grandfather said, "Earth provides enough for every man's need, but not every man's greed." Let that one sink in. Pete Seeger, one of my new heroes, we had the honor of getting him on stage at Farm Aid just 4 months ago, and he's just recently passed. His banjo said, "This machine surrounds hate and forces it to surrender." I've never seen a more hateful group of people than the industry that comes into our town to tell us what they're going to do, and we're not going to be able to stop them. He also said participation, it's what's going to save the human race. So participate in finding out about what's really going on. My favorite and last quote I'll give you is from Martin Luther King. He said, "On some positions, cowardice asks the question, is it safe? Expediency asks the question, is it politic? And vanity asks the question, is it popular? But conscience asks..."
22nd of July of 12. Parker County, Pavilion, Dimock, there is no problems whatsoever with the water. Now, why did you write this report on the 23rd of July, the day after, telling me not to use the water that's contaminated? This is our federal government now. So I'd have a little lack of faith of anything to do with our local and federal government, because I've been thrown under the bus so many times as I could retread half of the interstate. Then, one of the people from EPA wrote this PowerPoint presentation of the contaminant